Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to the first quarter 2024 Hello Group Incorporated earnings conference call. All participants are in a listen-only mode. There will be a presentation followed by a question-and-answer session. If you wish to ask a question, you will need to press the star key, followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Please note this conference is being recorded today. I would now like to hand the conference over to your first speaker today, Ms. Ashley Jing. Thank you. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, operator. Good morning and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Hello Group's first quarter 2024 earnings conference call. The company's results were released earlier today and are available on the company's IR website. On the call today are Mr. Tang Yan, CEO of the company, Ms. Zhang Sichuan, CEO of the company, and Ms. Peng Hui, CFO of the company. They will discuss the company's business operations and highlights, as well as the financials and guidance. They will all be available to answer your questions during the Q&A sessions that follows. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that this call may contain forward-looking statements made under the Safe Harbor provision of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Such statements are based on management's current expectations and current market and operating conditions, and relate to events that are involved known or unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors, all of which are difficult to predict and many of which are beyond the company's control, which may cause the company's actual results, performance, or achievements to differ materially from those in the forward-looking statements. Further information regarding this and other risks, uncertainties, and factors is included in the company's filings with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The company does not undertake any obligation to update any forward-looking statement as a result of new information, future events, or otherwise, except as required under law. I'll now pass the call over to our COO, Ms. Zhang Sichuan. Ms. Zhang, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our call. Since the beginning of the year, we have made steady progress in implementing our strategic priorities across all business lines. I will now walk you through the details. I will start with a brief overview of our financial performance. For the first quarter of 2024, total group revenue was 2.56 billion RMB, down 9% year-over-year and 17% sequentially, slightly exceeding the high end of our revenue guidance. Adjusted operating income was 515 million RMB, a slight decrease of 0.5% year-over-year and down 22% sequentially. Profit margin was 20.1%, up 1.8 percentage point year-over-year, but down 2 percentage points sequentially. The year-over-year margin improvement, despite lower revenue, was primarily due to our continuous efforts to improve cost efficiency across all business lines, offsetting the revenue decline's impact. Specifically, we drove continuous efficiency improvements in personnel and cash utilization by reducing inefficient channel investments and optimizing staff allocation. As a result, costs declined more than revenue, and the cost optimization initiatives drove margin improvement. The sequential decline in margin was primarily due to the negative operating leverage resulting from the seasonal declines in revenue. Total revenue from the Momo app and standalone new app was 2.32 billion RMB, down 8% year-over-year, mainly due to the declines in revenue from the Momo app, resulting from spending softness amidst the weak market economy and our proactive product and operational adjustments to maintain a healthy community ecosystem. Standalone new apps, especially overseas, continue to grow rapidly year-over-year. Adjusted operating income was 487 million RMB, down 3% year-over-year, with a margin of 21%, up 1 percentage point from a year ago. For Tantan, total revenue decreased 22% year-over-year to 241 million RMB, mainly due to the reduced number of paying users. Our commercial product team continues to optimize the paying experience to improve ARPU, which partially mitigated the revenue pressure. Tantan's adjusted operating income was 28 million RMB, up 92% year-over-year, with a margin of 11.6%, up 6.9 percentage points from a year ago. Now I will walk you through the progress we have made against our strategic priorities for Momo, Tantan, and new endeavors since the beginning of the year. As I outlined on the Q4 2023 earnings call in March, the main goal for the Momo app this year is to maintain the productivity of the cash cow business with a healthy ecosystem. The Tantan's goal is to continue to improve the core dating experience and build an efficient business model that drives profitable growth. As for our new endeavors, our plan is to enrich the brand portfolio further, push the business boundaries beyond Momo and Tantan, and build a long-term growth engine. I will now walk you through the details of our execution. First, on the product and operational front of the Momo app. Since the beginning of the year, our product team has been focused on continuously enriching use cases and gamified features, as well as strengthening Momo's social contributors. To help users improve their interactive experience, we applied AI technology to assist with chatting and image generation features. For example, AI Greeting provides chatting assistance service for users who want to make new friends from the nearby people list. In other words, AI can suggest ice-breaking topics to users by analyzing the image and text information on the potential candidate's profile page. Data from the text group shows that this feature plays a positive role in increasing the greeting response rate. Another example is AI Magic Mirror or AI Mojing, an image generation tool that allows users to synthesize photos with other users or landmarks, increasing users' social capital to provide new ways to interact. In addition, last year we piloted a Finding Partners or 找搭子 program for our online to offline interest groups in several major cities, which was well received by young users. The number of outdoor activity groups represented by City Walk grew quite strongly in the first quarter. Product innovation and our ability to keep pace with the time in technology has enabled Momo, a mature social brand with a 30-year history, to play an essential role in helping users discover new relationships and build meaningful interactions. This has laid a solid foundation for Momo app to maintain user and revenue scale over the long term. On the channel front, about a year ago, we shifted our focus from general user growth to ROI-oriented profitable user growth. This model is more pragmatic and better suited to Momo's current stage of development as well as the overall economic environment. Our adjusted budget allocation for various channels according to the traffic at the beginning of the year, optimize potential channels, cut spending in channels and ads with poor ROI, and explore new ways to bring incremental traffic while further reducing user acquisition costs through collaborations with KOL. We also focus on improving paying conversion, acquiring more high-paying users, and improving our ability to better accommodated this group of people with more suitable features on our Momo app. In the first quarter, the Momo app has 7.1 million paying users, a decrease of 300K from the previous quarter, mainly due to two reasons. First, our product and operational adjustments to reduce competition events, resulting in declining paying users. Second, in order to improve profitability and pursue profitable growth, our channel team reduced investments in acquiring low-paying users with negative channel ROI, resulting in a decrease in long-tail paying users. Now, let's talk about the productivity of our Momo cash cow business. In the first quarter, Momo's live streaming revenue was 1.15 billion RMB, down 11% year-over-year and 90% sequentially. The year-over-year decrease was mainly due to our strategy and proactively reduced revenue-oriented large-scale competition events in order to maintain a good social ecosystem and limit and healthy monetization approaches adopted by broadcasters and agencies to attain competition event-related bonuses. Spending softness amidst the weak macroeconomy was another reason for the year-over-year decrease in revenue. The sequential revenue decrease was due to the Chinese New Year seasonality. On the product operations side, we fully leveraged Momo's social contributor to achieve the transition from revenue-oriented competition events to user-oriented content-focused operational activities. We managed to drive non-event related, in other words, organic, revenue growth by strengthening support for high-quality content and adding new gamified features. Cost savings from reduction in operational activities during Chinese New Year resulted in a slight sequential decrease in the revenue sharing ratio. Revenue from value-added services, excluding Tantan, totaled 1.15 billion RMB for the first quarter, down 4% year-over-year and 9% sequentially. VAS revenue from the Momo app was 806 million RMB, down 17% year-over-year and 14% sequentially. Revenue from the standalone app was 343 million RMB, up 52% year-over-year and 6% sequentially. The year-over-year decline in VAS revenue from the Momo app was mainly due to our proactive product and operational adjustments to mitigate the regulatory risk, as well as the spending softness amid the weak macroeconomy. The sequential decline was due to Chinese New Year seasonality. On the product front, the user scale of the audio and video-based VAS experience gradually recovered after the Chinese New Year, thanks to our efforts to drive the penetration rate. Our team made a smooth transition from competition event-driven to non-event focused operations by enriching interaction features and upgrading core gamified displays. The steady increase in organic revenue partially offset the reduction in competition events. The group's revenue for the quarter was slightly better than expected, mainly due to the smooth transition of the Momo app VAS business, which has strong social contributors. The overall revenue sharing ratio decreased slightly compared to the previous quarter due to the seasonal cost savings. Now, moving to Tantan. First, regarding user trends and financial performance, As the cold wave at the beginning of the year and Chinese New Year holiday reduced Tantan's user demand, our team reduced channel investments and our user base fell to a low point. In March, with the gradual easing of external unfavorable factors and the improvement in user experience brought about by continuously ecosystem improvement and recommendation strategy optimization, our user base and retention started to recover gradually. Tantan's MAU was 13.7 million in March, flat sequentially. As of the end of the first quarter, Tantan had 1.1 million paying users, down 100,000 sequentially, primarily due to the redesign of the auto-renewal page as required by the regulators. Our commercial product team has improved user propensity to pay by optimizing guidance on the paying experience and highlighting differentiated member experience, thereby mitigating the negative impact on paying users from the renewal page redesign. Turning to Tantan's financials, total revenue for the first quarter was 241 million RMB, down 22% year-over-year and 11% sequentially. The year-over-year decrease was mainly due to a reduced number of paying users. The increase in the revenue contributions of relatively high-end Black Gold and SVIP membership products drove overall ARPU growth, partially mitigated the revenue pressure caused by reduction in paying users. The sequential revenue decline was mainly due to the change in auto-renewal policy as well as seasonality, which put pressure on paying users and ARPU. In terms of business line, VAS revenue was 145 million RMB, down 40% year-over-year and 10% sequentially, while live streaming revenue was 87.7 million RMB, down 37% year-over-year and 12% sequentially. The significant year-over-year decrease was mainly due to the ongoing operational strategy to de-emphasize live streaming. Tantan's adjusted operating income for the first quarter was 28 million RMB, nearly doubling year-over-year despite lower revenue and slightly up 4% sequentially. Profit growth was mainly driven by continued improvements in channel efficiency and personnel cost optimization. Now I would like to walk you through the details of Tantan's progress on channel and product fronts. First, on channel front, over the past 2 years, our user acquisition team has continuously cut inefficient channel and marketing approaches and further reduced marketing investments in negative ROI, laying a solid foundation for Tantan to achieve profitable despite revenue pressure. In the first quarter, thanks to the effective control of spamming activity and continuous improvements in ARPU over the past year, new user ROI meaningfully improved over the previous year. While our channel strategy optimization has yielded promising results over the past 2 years, the space for continuous optimization of unit acquisition cost is relatively limited. Meanwhile, a major problem facing Tantan user growth model is relying too much on user acquisition through paid channels and too little on adding users organically through brand recognition. As a result, although the overall user acquisition cost has continued to decline over the past year or so, the reduction in overall average cost of new users was quite limited due to the continuous decline in number of new organic users. To explore new growth models and, more importantly, to increase the portion of new users acquired outside paid channels, our user acquisition team plans to ramp up spending on KOL advertising, which is both ROI-focused and brand-oriented. Preliminary data in March shows that the popularity of new users acquired through offline branding activity is always higher than the overall average. We believe that improving the brand image will contribute to sustainable and stable organic user growth over the long term, thereby effectively reducing the overall user acquisition cost in the long run and helping to achieve a positive business cycle. We are now moving to Tantan's progress on product and operational side. To achieve our strategic goals of improving the core dating experience and building an efficient business model, our user product team focused on two things in the first quarter. First, we continue our anti-spam campaign with an updated strategy to enhance anti-spam capabilities to improve user experience. Second, we are working on an upgraded version to improve the dating experience. Our new version focuses on guiding users to enrich their personalities by adding more information to their profile page, thereby increasing their reach and matching performance and improving the efficiency of matching and in-deep interaction thereafter. Meanwhile, in terms of UI design, we have slightly emphasized the flight mode and encourage users to scroll down and check out the details of each candidate. We started testing the new version at the end of April. We are currently iterating and emphasizing the version based on our user feedback and gradually expand the texting scale. In terms of monetization, we're adding a short-term VAS membership packages to lower the threshold for new paying users. In addition, we have built a paying model in course swipe and match mechanisms specifically for users without qualified photos to improve long-term retention and paying conversion of this group of users. We firmly believe that our efforts to continue to focus on product innovation and improving paying experience to drive ARPU growth is the only effective way for Tantan to achieve the strategic goals of profitable growth in the long term. Lastly, in terms of new endeavors, in the first quarter, the total revenue of the new apps, including social and game products, was 344 million RMB, up 61% year-over-year and 5% sequentially. The year-over-year increase was mainly driven by the rapid growth in our overseas business. On a sequential basis, consumer sentiment in Arabic-speaking regions experienced a seasonal decline due to the impact of Ramadan. At the beginning of the year, our user acquisition team increased investment in overseas channels and enhanced collaboration with local KOLs, resulting in a significant year-over-year and sequential increase in numbers of users and paying users. Launching new gifting features and rapid growth in Turkish-speaking markets led to a slight sequential increase in overseas revenue during the off-season, contributing in portion incremental revenue for the standalone new app. At present, we are accelerating the localization process of our overseas business. On the product side, we are introducing more interactive gamified features in line with local user preferences and stepping up the testing of live streaming. On the operational side, we are improving customer experience and product experience specifically for high-paying users. At the same time, we are strengthening collaboration with local agencies and forecasters to improve content quality. Undoubtedly, making rapid progress in multiple regions in the Middle East means we will face more uncertainty and challenges due to the geo-diversification. For example, the sharp depreciation of the Egyptian pound in March caused significant foreign exchange losses. In addition, as we gradually beef up our local operational team and start entering new markets, we could put more pressures on the profits of our overseas business in the short term. However, this upfront investment have laid a necessary foundation for future revenue and profit growth. This concludes my remarks. Now let me pass the call to Kathy for the financial review. Kathy, please.
Thank you, Dick. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our conference call today. Now let me briefly take you through the financial review. Total revenue for the first quarter 2024 was 2.56 billion RMB, down 9% year-on-year and 15% quarter-on-quarter. Non-GAAP net income attributable to the company was 59.9 RMB, compared to 471.9 million RMB for the same period of 2023. In the first quarter, we accrued a withholding income tax of renminbi 448.6 million associated with our historical undistributed earnings generated by our WOFE. I will elaborate a bit later on such accounting treatment. This tax expense item is on accrual basis, meaning that it did not result in an actual cash outflow in that amount during the current quarter. In addition, it was one-off in nature and did not reflect the fundamental performance of the current quarter, nor is it indicative of future profit prospects. Excluding this special item, non-GAAP net income for the quarter would have been 508.5 million RMB, up 8% from the same period from the same quarter last year, but slightly down 1% sequentially. I'm glad to see that net income continued to grow on a year-over-year basis despite lower revenue. This was mainly attributable to our effective cost optimization and efficiency improvement initiatives. Now let me walk you through the details. Looking into the key revenue items for the quarter, firstly, on live broadcasting, total revenue from live broadcasting business for the first quarter of 2024 is 1.24 billion RMB, down 13% year-over-year and 19% quarter-over-quarter. The year-over-year decrease was mainly due to three factors. Number one, our proactive product and operational adjustments to de-emphasize revenue-oriented competition events for the sake of maintaining a healthy ecosystem. Number two, soft consumer sentiment amid the weak macroeconomy. Number three, Tantan strategically pivoting away from the less dating-centric live streaming service. The sequential decrease was due to CNY negative seasonality. Momo app live broadcasting revenue totaled 1.15 billion RMB for the quarter, down 11% year-over-year and 19% quarter-over-quarter. Tantan's live broadcasting revenue amounted to 87.7 million RMB, down 37% year-over-year and 12% quarter-on-quarter. Revenue from value-added services for the first quarter of 2024 was 1.29 billion RMB, down 5% from Q1 last year and 9% sequentially. Revenue from value-added service on an ex-Tantan basis was 1.15 billion RMB in the first quarter of 2024, down 4% from Q1 last year and 9% from the previous quarter. Momo app VAS revenue decreased both on a year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter basis. This was due to our proactive product adjustments to manage regulatory risks, as well as a weak spending sentiment, coupled with negative seasonality. On the other hand, revenue from the standalone new apps continued to grow steadily, partially offsetting the revenue pressure from Momo value-added service. Tantan's value-added service revenue amounted to RMB 145.1 million, down 14% year-over-year and 10% sequentially. The YOY decrease was due to a decline in paying users, which was in turn due to a reduction in channel investment, the anti-spam campaign, and the adjustments to subscription renewal policy. The sequential decrease was due to the CNY seasonality, which had a negative impact on both paying users and ARPU. Now turning to costs and expenses, non-GAAP cost of revenue for the first quarter of 2024 was 1.50 billion RMB compared to 1.66 billion for the same period last year. Non-GAAP gross margin for the quarter was 41.4%, up 0.4 percentage points from the year-ago period and 0.3 percentage points from last quarter. The increase was due to an improvement in Tantan's margin that resulted from a shift in its revenue mix. Non-GAAP R&D expenses for the first quarter was 183.4 million RMB compared to 214.4 million RMB for the same period last year, or a 14% decrease year-over-year. The decrease was due to the continuous optimization in personnel and infrastructure costs. Non-GAAP R&D expenses as a percentage of revenue was 7% compared with 8% from the year-ago period. We ended the quarter with 1,375 employees, of which 294 are from Tantan, compared to 1,533 total employees, of which 374 from Tantan a year ago. The R&D personnel as a percentage of total employee for the group was 62% compared with 63% Q1 last year. Non-GAAP sales and marketing expenses for the first quarter was 287.3 million RMB, or 11% of total revenue, compared to 372.0 million RMB, or 13% of total revenue for the same period last year. The significant year-over-year decrease, both in terms of absolute renminbi amount and as a percentage of revenue, was primarily attributable to two reasons. One, in Q1 last year, we hosted an offline year-end gala for Momo live streaming. Number two, our strategy to trim inefficient channel marketing spend and focus on channel ROI. It's worth calling out that the offline annual gala for Momo live streaming is scheduled to happen in June 2024. Therefore, we expect the marketing costs in the second quarter this year to see a spike due to that event. Non-GAAP G&A expenses was 93.5 million RMB for the first quarter 2024, compared to 88.4 million RMB for the same quarter last year, representing a 4% and 3% of total revenue respectively. Non-GAAP operating income was 515.0 million RMB, a slight decrease of 0.6% from Q1 2023, down 22% from the previous quarter. Non-GAAP operating margin for the quarter was 20.1%, up 1.7 percentage points from the same period last year, but down 2.0 percentage points from the previous quarter. Non-GAAP OPEX as a percentage of total revenue was 22%, a decrease from 24% from Q1 2023, but up from 20% in Q4 last year. Non-GAAP operating expenses on a year-on-year basis decreased 16%. The decrease in both absolute renminbi amount and as a percentage of revenue for OPEX was mainly due to a reduction in sales and marketing expenses and to a lesser degree, optimization in personnel costs. Non-GAAP operating expenses decreased 6% sequentially. This was attributable to a decrease in year-end bonus, as well as double pay. Now briefly on income tax expenses. Total income tax expense was 557.6 million RMB for the quarter. In Q1, the company repatriated 2.0 billion RMB from a WOFE in China to our offshore entity in order to replenish our US dollar funding. As such repatriation already partly involved our historical undistributed earnings for prior years, and since we might continue to distribute the WOFE's retained earnings to fund overseas business operations, shareholder return, and potential investments, based on the principle of conservatism, in Q1 we accrued withholding tax of 448.6 million RMB, which is 5% of the historical undistributed earnings of our WOFE. As said at the beginning of my remarks, this tax expense item is on accrual basis, meaning that it did not result in an actual cash outflow in that amount during the quarter. In addition, it was one-off in nature and did not reflect the fundamental performance of the current quarter, nor is it indicative of future profit prospects. Without the withholding tax, our estimated non-GAAP effective tax rate was around 15% in the first quarter. Now turning to balance sheet and cash flow items. As of March 31st, 2024, Hello Group's cash equivalents, short-term deposits, long-term deposits, short-term investments, and restricted cash totaled 15.12 billion RMB compared to 13.48 billion RMB as of December 31st, 2023. Net cash provided by operating activities in the first quarter of 2024 was 400.2 million RMB. Lastly, on business outlook, we estimated our first quarter revenue to come in the range from 2.65 billion RMB to 2.75 billion RMB, representing a decrease of 15.5% to 12.4% year-on-year, or an increase of 3.5% to 7.4% quarter-on-quarter. At segment level, for Q1 2024, on a sequential basis, we expect Momo revenue to increase around mid-single digits. On the Tantan side, we expect revenue to decrease mid-single digits. Please be mindful that this forecast represents the company's current and preliminary view on the market and operational conditions, which are subject to changes. That concluded our prepared portion of today's discussion. With that, let me turn the call back to Ashley to start Q&A. Ashley, please.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder before we take any questions. For those who can speak Chinese, please ask your questions in Chinese first and followed by translation by yourself. And operator, please, we're ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2. If you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset to ask your question. Your first question comes from Xueqing Zhang with CICC. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我的问题是关于陌陌主站的。考虑到宏观政策等原因出现进一步调整，那我们 VAS 未来的产品策略是什么？然后管理层发言中也提到了就减少赛事活动，那这是否意味着我们直播和 VAS 的分成比例会有改善的空间？那最后也想请公司展望一下今年陌陌主站收入和利润的预期。谢谢。Thanks management for taking my question. My question about Momo. Considering adjustments due to microenvironment, regulation, and other reasons, what's your strategy for VAS in the future? Also, you mentioned in the prepared remarks, Momo reduced the competition events. Does it improve the revenue sharing ratio of live streaming and VAS? And lastly, how to view the revenue and profit of the Momo in 2024? Thank you.
我来回答一下。那么上年末呢，面对宏观层面存在的一些诸多的不确定性，我们为了保护用户使用体验，避免公会主播为了获得更多的收入，采取激进的商业化策略。那么运营团队主动减少了直播及 VAS 的音视频场景中以收入为导向的赛事活动安排。过去2个季度收入同比的变化的情况，反映了运营安排变化对陌陌主站造成的影响。年初以来，团队通过引入新的互动玩法，扶植优质的内容供给，凭借陌陌强大的社交属性，推动自然流水增长，部分弥补了赛事流水缺口。我对团队能够灵活地应对外部环境变化，实现赛事驱动向日常玩法的这个平稳转型感到非常满意。今年呢，我们会沿着这个思路，充分发挥陌陌的产品调性，在音视频场景中构建更多的沉浸式互动玩法，探索增量收入的机会。
Okay. Given the uncertainties in the macro environment in the end of last year, our team proactively reduced the revenue-oriented competition events in the live streaming and audio and video-based VAS experiences in order to protect user experience and limit the unhealthy monetization approaches adopted by broadcasters and agencies to obtain more revenue from competition events. The year-over-year revenue changes in the past 2 quarters reflected the impacts of these operational adjustments on the Momo app revenue. And since the beginning of the year, our team has introduced new interactive gamified features and fostered the supply of high-quality content and leveraged Momo's strong social attribute to drive organic revenue growth, partially offsetting the decrease in competition events-related revenue. I'm very pleased with the team's ability to flexibly respond to changes in the external environment and make a smooth transition from competition events-driven to non-event focused operations. This year, we plan to further pursue this strategy of fully leveraging Momo's core value proposition and develop more immersive interactive gamified features in the audio and video-based experiences and explore incremental revenue opportunities.
那么刚才的这个问题谈到了分成，那么至于分成呢，过去几年我们的基础分成政策呢一直是保持稳定的。近半年由于赛事活动的减少，我们在奖金成本方面产生了一些结余，但由于这些运营活动调整造成的流水疲软，导致主播收入减少，工会利润不足。因此我们计划将部分节约的赛事奖金用于提升日常活动分成，通过适度让利提升工会的积极性。那么简单的说呢，就整体分成比例与前期比将会基本保持稳定。那么具体的财务和利润预期，我觉得 Cassie 可以来说一下。
In terms of revenue sharing, our basic revenue sharing policy has remained stable over the past few years. Due to the reduction in competition events in the past 6 months, we have saved some bonus costs. However, the decrease in revenue caused by these operational adjustments has resulted in lower income for broadcasters and lower profits for agencies. As a result, we believe that it makes strategic sense to use a portion of the saved bonuses to increase the revenue sharing for non-event operations and to enhance agency engagement and motivation through moderate profit concession. and consequently, our overall revenue sharing ratio will remain basically stable compared to the previous period. And as for revenue and profit guidance, I will leave it to Cassie.
Okay. Before talking about the revenue outlook, I would like to remind the analysts and investors that the Momo segment revenue actually includes both the revenues from the core Momo application and the revenues from the new applications, including Soulchill, Hertz, and Duidui, etc. That's something you may want to bear in mind when taking our comments into your modeling. Now on the core Momo application, as in the past few quarters, future revenue trajectory will continue to hinge upon the development on two major fronts. One is macro and the other one is regulatory environment. For macro, which in turn dictates the consumer sentiment, we're seeing some positive policy changes at the top. However, how effectively and quickly those policy changes will get filtered down into the consumer behavior in general, and more specifically into user spending on our platform, that at this point, I think it's still too early to tell. We'll see as the year progresses. So that's for macro. On the regulatory front, as investors can see, we have always been very disciplined and prudent in terms of managing risks and making sure our ecosystem is healthy and safe in the regulatory regard. In Q1, we undertook very important adjustments to the operational policy as described by Sik and Tang Zong in their remarks. The impact on the ecosystem is positive, and the financial impacts so far are pretty in line with our earlier expectations, as communicated in last quarter's call. So that's the core business. The overseas piece will obviously continue to grow pretty robustly and thus help mitigate the decrease from the core. Overall, if you look at our Q2 guidance at midpoint, I think we are seeing a 13% decrease on a year-over-year basis in Momo segment. That YOY decrease is higher than what we saw in Q1, mainly because Q2 2023, if you remember, that was the best quarter of that year, forming a higher base for YOY comparison. As we head into the second half, the YOY comparison should get a little bit easier. But overall, because the biggest impact factor, which is the operational adjustments, that adjustment was fully in the system by Q1. And the other two elements, the macro and regulatory risk, currently seem to be pretty stable. So if you put all these together, I would say first half is a pretty good basis for us to think about the back half. With regards to profit, while we continue to try to optimize the cost structure for the core Momo business, we're also going to put a very significant portion of the savings from the core into building the new applications. And thus, we won't have as much room to cut on operating expenses in 2024 as in the past couple of years. This means we're probably going to get some negative leverage from the decrease on top line. Overall, for Momo segment, we'll try to hit a range, hit a range in the high teens for the adjusted operating margin, but we won't pin ourselves down to that range. I guess that's several points to address the question on top line and bottom line outlook. Back to Ashley for the next question.
Operator, next question, please.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Raphael Chen with BOCI Research. Please go ahead.
谢谢管理层接受我的提问啊，我的问题是关于海外业务的，能否请管理层分享海外业务最新的一个发展的策略及想法以及本地化建设的进程和业务数据的一个最新的 update。 是否最后能否请管理层分享一下今年对海外业务整体的收入和利润的预期谢谢。I will translate myself. Thank you for taking my question. I want to follow up on our overseas business. Could management share the latest strategy, any updates on operational metrics or the localization progress? And lastly, could we have any quantitative outlook regarding the total revenue and profit of our overseas business this year? Thank you.
刚才这个在他的发言中已经介绍的比较充分了。那么年初呢，中东地区业务虽然受这个斋月禁渔的影响，环比增长的阶段性放缓，但同比看依旧保持了快速增长的趋势。这主要得益于今年集团在战略层面上对海外业务的高度重视。过去1年，在产品技术的人才配给以及资金方面，对海外团队给予了大力的支持。那么上次电话会我提到过海外业务增长的3个方向：本地化、新场景和新区域。
I think Sik has covered this topic quite comprehensively in her prepared remarks earlier. And at the beginning of the year, our business in the Middle East temporarily slowed down sequentially due to the restrictions on entertainment activities during Ramadan. But year-over-year, it remained a rapid growth momentum. This was mainly because we have attached great strategic importance to the overseas business in recent years, and we have provided strong support to our overseas teams in terms of talent and capital allocation over the past years. On the last earnings call, I outlined 3 directions for overseas business growth: localization, new features, and new regions.
那么本地化方面呢，我们目前在中东地区已经设立了办公室，这有助于我们更高效地对接当地的供给侧资源，筛选优质的合作伙伴，降低沟通的管理成本。那么产品方面呢，我们走访了不同的语种和文化背景的高额付费用户，根据反馈需求优化了产品设计，调整了运营的玩法，从而提升用户体验并带动整体消费热情。除了升级现有的语音玩法外，我们也加大了直播场景的渗透力度和测试节奏。而新市场的开拓方面，我们开始逐渐的加大对海湾地区较富裕国家的投放。预计今年我们在中东地区的产品和运营都会比去年有较大的提升，为这个地区的持续增长打好基础。那么至于收入和预期的方面，还是同样交给 Casey 来回答吧。
In terms of localization, we have set up an office in the Middle East, and this enables us to connect with and select local high-quality partners in a more efficient manner, therefore reducing communication and management costs. And in terms of products, we have engaged with high-paying users from different language and cultural backgrounds, and optimized the product design and adjusted our practice based on users' feedback, and thereby improving user experience and boosting overall consumer sentiment. In addition to upgrading the existing voice-based gamified play, we also ramped up testing of live streaming by increasing its penetration. In terms of new market expansion, we have begun to gradually increase investment in richer countries in the Gulf region. And we expect our products and operations in the Middle East to improve significantly this year compared to last year, and laying a solid foundation for continued growth in this region. As for financial related matters, I will leave it to Cassie.
Okay, for revenue outlook for the overseas piece, in Q1, Soulchill grew, I think, over 60% year-over-year. Moving deeper into the year, the YOY growth may slow down a little bit due to the higher comp last year. If we can move faster in implementing our product and operational strategies, the slowdown could be mitigated to a large extent. If some of the growth initiatives takes time to bear fruit, then the slowdown could be more evident. We'll get more clarity as we head into the second half. Profit-wise, there is still going to be pretty impressive YY growth, but as we are still seeing many growth opportunities in the region, we'll try to strike a balance between profit growth and investment in the future, investment for the future. Back to Ashley.
Operator, in the interest of time, let's take one last question. Thank you.
Thank you. Your last question is from Henry Sun with JP Morgan. Please go ahead. Henry Sun, your line is now live. Please proceed with your question.
喂，你好，可以听到我的问题吗？
Hello, Henry. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. 谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我有几个关于探探的问题。管理层在发言中提到探探获客效率显著提升，这是否意味着后续会加大投放力度？启动品牌营销对应的投入是多少？市场策略的变化是否意味着用户规模已经触底？我最后一个问题是关于这个收入利润等财务指标和我们今年的这个用户趋势的展望。I'll translate myself. Thanks management for taking my question. I have a few questions about Tantan. Management mentioned in the prep remark an improvement in Tantan's acquisition efficiency. Does it mean we should expect an increase in marketing spend moving forward? And how much are we planning to invest in a brand marketing initiative? Does the change in strategy suggest that user numbers have bottomed out? And lastly, could management share your perspective on the user trend as well as the revenue and profit outlook this year? Thanks.
过去2年持续的降本增效策略有效地推动了探探实现稳定盈利，但持续的减投也对探探的用户规模造成了明显压力。我们看到探探的用户和收入都没有能够达到一个稳态。考虑到过去去年新用户的 ARPU 有了明显的提升，带来了新用户的 ROI 的一个改善。那么2季度我们计划在保持当前的回收水平的基础上，适度的加大投放力度，以稳住用户规模。另外呢，从19年以来，我们对于探探的品牌宣传也没有尝试进行过投入，这是今年自然新增持续下滑的重要原因之一。那么因此呢，我们计划在3月成功试水的基础上，通过更多的线下营销手段唤醒品牌认知，提高品牌形象及用户信任，以此来带动下载转化成这个自然量增长。
Our continuous cost reduction and efficiency improvement strategies over the past 2 years have effectively brought Tantan to stable profitability. However, the continued reduction in channel investment has also put significant pressure on Tantan's user base. And we see that Tantan's users and revenue have not stabilized. Given the new user ARPU has improved significantly over the past year, leading to an improvement in new user ROI. We plan to moderately increase channel investment in the second quarter while maintaining the current ROI in order to stabilize the user base. In addition, we haven't invested in Tantan's brand marketing since 2019, which is one of the key reasons for the continuous decline in organic new users in the recent years. Therefore, based on our successful test in March, we plan to adopt more offline marketing strategies to raise brand awareness, improve brand image and user trust to drive download conversions and organic user growth.
那么至于商业化方面，刚才 Six 提到，我们在对探探进行了新一轮的改版，新的 UI 设计会引导用户充实个人资料，也鼓励用户多花一些时间了解对方的基本情况，再做出划卡的决策。我们对于这个设计有过很多的内部讨论，因为这涉及到改变长期建立起来的用户使用习惯，而我们许多高阶的会员用户功能都建立在这些行为习惯的基础之上。因此，这种 UI 变化可能会对商业化产生一些负面的影响。然而，我们最终得出的结论是，这对长期改善用户体验来说是正确的做法，值得在短期商业化方面做一些让步。当然，商业产品团队会通过持续优化付费体验，提升新增购买 ARPU。 以部分抵消改版以及续费政策的变化对收入造成的负面影响。那同样具体的财务相关的问题还是交给 Casey。
In terms of monetization, Sik just mentioned that we are working on an upgraded version of Tantan. The new UI design will guide users to enrich their personal information and encourage users to spend more time learning about a candidate before deciding to swipe left or right. We had much debate internally about this design change because it involves changing a long-standing user behavior based on which many of our premium features are built. Thus, such change in UI will likely to have a negative impact on monetization. However, we eventually concluded that this is the right course of action for long-term improvement in user experience and worth a sacrifice in short-term monetization. Of course, our commercial product team will continue to optimize paying experience to improve new user ARPU to partially offset the negative impact of regulatory changes on membership renewal policy and product upgrade. And as for the financial part, I will leave that to Cassie, please.
Sure. I think there are several questions here on the marketing spend. Although the ARPU of Tantan has significantly improved during the past year, we have not reached the tipping point where the return on investment is high enough to drive a positive business cycle yet. That means if we pull the marketing spend too high, we could slip back to loss. So the plan for the coming couple of quarters is to moderately increase the marketing spend. By moderately, I mean ballpark probably between 10 to 20 million RMB incrementally per quarter. And most of that incremental spending will go into KOL marketing. At the same time, we will carefully monitor the ROI to make sure we get good return for the marketing investment. The goal for the Tantan team this year, here I'm answering the question about the user trend. The goal for Tantan team this year is to keep the user base stable through effective marketing campaigns, as well as product innovations to deliver better dating experiences. Whether we will be able to reach that target will depend on how efficient our product and marketing teams are. Revenue-wise, we are likely still going to see a downtick as live streaming continues to shrink, but there is quite limited impact on profit because gross margin for live streaming is very, very low for Tantan's live broadcasting business. However, as we are investing part of the profit back to brand marketing, the bottom line will the bottom line this year will likely decrease from last year's level. So hopefully that addresses your question. Ashley, back to Ashley for closing remarks.
Thank you. That's it for today, and thank you for participating, and we'll see you guys next quarter. Thank you, operator. We're ready to close.
Thank you. That does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.